Hey Dragon Slayers. So today's video is about how to fast like a girl, the introduction, part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. Let's get started. So Dr. Mindy has studied and tested almost every popular diet fad that has ever emerged. You name the new trend and she's tested it. She has spent almost the past 25 years in the health trenches with thousands of patients, helping them discover how important what they eat and when they eat can be to their health. What all this research has taught her is that now more than ever, humans are suffering at the hands of poor food choices. Recently, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention published that 60% of Americans have one chronic disease, 40% have two or more chronic diseases, and 90% of the trillions of dollars we spend on healthcare goes to treating these chronic diseases. Why are we so sick? What has changed in the past 30 years that has us on a collision course with chronic disease? When you look at the root causes of many chronic diseases, you see a common thread. That common thread is poor metabolic health. Poor metabolic health, often known as metabolic syndrome, is getting a lot of press these days, and with good reason. The term metabolic health is often used to refer to a person's ability to properly regulate their blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol without the use of medication. Not only does poor metabolic health lead to chronic disease, but it also compromises your immune system. Perhaps the most startling part of having poor metabolic health is that in today's culture, we normalize this condition. So, many of the hallmark signs that tell us a person's metabolic health is diminishing are often given a label by doctors as aging, genetics, or simply unavoidable. The signs someone is struggling with their metabolic health are clear. High levels of blood sugar, triglycerides, low density lipoproteins, cholesterol, blood pressure, and or increasing waist circumference are all telling you that your metabolism is struggling. A classic sign of a failing metabolism that is rarely addressed is a person's inability to go without food. This is referred to as hypoglycemia, but your brilliant body has a reserve energy system that should activate in the absence of food and give you energy, mental clarity, and tide you over until you can get your next meal. If you are struggling to go more than 4 hours without food, it is time for a metabolic tune-up. In 2018, a study emerged from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill declaring that only 12% of Americans are metabolically healthy. And it's not just Americans. More than 800 million people worldwide currently live with obesity. According to the British Medical Journal, in many countries, obesity is now killing more people than smoking. What might be most disturbing is that the fastest growing sector of the population living with obesity is children. Childhood obesity is predicted to increase by 60% in the coming decades, reaching 250 million by 2030. The medical costs associated with the rise in obesity are expected to exceed $1 trillion annually by 2025. Respected medical journals like The Lancet are even declaring that due to the strong correlation of metabolic disease to worse COVID-19 outcomes, metabolic health needs to be our number one focus globally in the post-pandemic era. Let our current efforts to prevent and treat metabolic challenges like obesity are glaringly inadequate. Our approach to this growing problem needs to change. Poor metabolic health is not just a number on the scale or an elevated lab finding. It is a person in crisis. Each health crisis doesn't just affect that individual, it impacts that person's family, our communities, and as the pandemic has taught us, the world at large. We are all in this metabolic mess together. And that's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And remember, guys, that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.